What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch with SC Weather. Hope y'all been having a great evening. Sorry about starting this video so late, guys. This is definitely not like me. I'm normally asleep by now, but it's been a late night doing things with the family. So we're going to talk about some things. There's definitely a storm around this time next weekend that's really going to be brewing here, and there's a lot to talk about. It's just like a very dynamic storm. What it brings, not sure, but I can tell you one thing: it is going to be fun to watch it, and definitely something that we're all going to learn from, because it's what you call a cutoff low. Could be merging with a trough. Anything's on the table with a storm for the East Coast. Anything from a nor'easter, maybe some southern snow, maybe just heavy flooding rain. I don't know. We're about to find out, though. But I'm going to show y'all what the kind of today's models show, this evening's models shown. And I'm definitely going to have another video for y'all probably Sunday morning before I head to church, because overnight models are already starting to get going here in the next few minutes. But we're going to break down what we see here. If you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. I talk about weather here in the eastern U.S., also break down weather basically southeast, mid-Atlantic, northeast. So thank y'all for tuning in. Like the video, share it, definitely subscribe. It's a great way to support me, and it's I love talking weather. I love talking my passion with people who love listening to it. So thank y'all. So let's get going here. We're going to look at the GFS here. We're going to back it up here a little bit. So this is the system right here. It's a cutoff low. Cutoff low basically is a detached area of a low pressure that gets trapped basically under the jet stream. So this system gets going here. There's a trough digging here. Almost all models are showing this now. Some kind of sharp trough ridging out west. Sharp trough is a cold front digging over the northeast. This is for next weekend. I do want to reiterate that this storm is for next weekend that we're talking about, because this is a very interesting storm. Basically, the GFS has this storm now suppressed, so it's basically in the Gulf. So you have marginal cold air up here, but you definitely don't have the amped part of the storm, the strong part of the storm, the heavier precipitation over the cold air. This storm is going to be a dynamic cooling kind of event. Dynamic cooling basically is when you have heavier precipitation falling over air that is just cold enough that maybe can turn a heavy rain to a quick switch to heavy snow. So in a setup like this, with marginal cold air in place, you definitely need heavier precipitation over the cold air. You just kind of need that to work here. And you're getting into several days into March at this point, so you're starting to lose that climate favored period of winter weather, and that's just how it is in situations like this. So you have this low pressure here, and it doesn't quite work. Now you have cold air up here, but do you have enough cold air here? So it doesn't really show any snow, but check out the GFS ensembles. They like this area over the mid-Atlantic and southeast to show snow. Check out the snow showing in North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina. Now, keep in mind here, this is kind of skewed by about 4 or 5 different members that are showing major winter storms over the Carolinas. But it is about 3 or 4 or 5 different runs, and basically the ensembles are basically several runs thrown together to create a mean, which is your ensemble run here on the GFS and the European and things like that. So you look at the European operational run from earlier today, and here comes our system. Basically, you got that one, and then this is our system that we're talking about, the cutoff low. It's getting going here. Check it out here. It looks like all rain. You don't have enough cold air really dipping into this, but check out as the system gets going off the coast of the Carolinas, it starts to drag in some cold air, and you have snow breaking out over areas of the coastal plains of North Carolina. It gets just cold enough, and you still have enough heavy precipitation for it to switch to snow as cold air begins to filter in behind the storm. And you notice, you probably barely can see on your screen, but these little squiggly lines here showing the 32 degrees. I mean, this is snow probably falling in the mid to upper 30s, honestly. And that can happen when you have dynamic cooling, when you basically have dew points play a big part in dynamic cooling. When you have dew points in the 20s and 30s, and temperatures in the 40s or 50s, when you have heavy rain starts to fall, it can cool down your column enough to, create a wet bulb of maybe the 30s somewhere. And maybe if you have enough cold air on the upper layers of the atmosphere, and keep in mind, a cutoff low can bring its own cold air in the upper layer levels of the atmosphere at times, you can get wet snow because you have cold air aloft to work with. And in this setup, you could potentially have that. So, yes, the European is showing snow. So, and look at the operational run. This is just one run. I'm going to say this multiple times when I'm talking about these storm guys. Just keep in mind that these are just operational runs. Sometimes, and obviously, I show the ensemble runs too. Don't look at them and just take them to the house and think it's going to happen. So remember that, guys. So, but it shows snow over the northern Outer Banks, the northeast areas of North Carolina here, and even a little bit of snow a little bit further south. So it's an interesting setup. This is the European ensembles. Again, it's showing that area, that coastal low kind of cranking up. It even shows a little bit of support all the way into South Carolina, the upstate of South Carolina, the PD. So, I'm not talking about the upper areas of the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast a lot, but this storm has big time potential for you guys too. This thing could ride up the trough and explode and throw in just enough heavy precipitation, and y'all will have enough cold air to pump out something. But it's hard to know because this trough could dig so far it could suppress the storm too far south for everybody, even areas in the Carolinas and Georgia and Virginia. So it's definitely an interesting signal. Now, the EPS ensembles is a little bit more beefed than the ones from overnight last night. So if you're a snow lover, that's a good sign. Now, keep in mind, this storm, this storm could totally just be a big rainmaker. We just don't know, but this is basically the new version of the GFS V16. And check it out here. This storm showed this ridiculously huge snowstorm for North Carolina, Virginia, and South Carolina earlier today. It's definitely backed off now, but it's still showing snow from this system into North Carolina. You go to the next frame, into South Carolina. It shows snow all the way to the coastal areas of Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington. This run is not technically, I guess you could say, a verified model yet, because it's going to be replacing, I believe, the GFS right now. But it's still being shown on models, so it's definitely been kind of right some. So basically, I want to show you this. This is basically dew points around. If you look at the precipitation here, this is around this is the same time frame. We just showed this earlier in the video. Notice the system's right here. Notice you have a little bit of precipitation being thrown here. You switch the temperatures, and you look at these and you think, heck, even if the precipitation was over the Carolinas, it's not near cold enough for doing anything. But look here in the coastal areas where there's heavier precipitation. It's in the mid to low 40s. That's because you have heavier precipitation falling and dynamic cooling is taking place where it's dragging down cooler air. And that's what would happen here. So if you look at the same time frame and you look at dew points are big with dynamic cooling. You have heavier precipitation falling over these lower dew points. And basically, you cool the column quick. So if you have temperatures in the 40s or 50s, dew points in the 20s, low 30s, rain starts falling. It basically drops the temperature. It rises the dew points. Wherever they meet, guys, that's where your kind of temperature is going to be at. So if it meets around 34, 35 degrees, you have enough cold air aloft in the upper layers of the atmosphere, no warm nose in place, then you might get a heavy burst of snow in the mid-30s. But, that's talking as if it's going to happen. We just don't know. That's just something that's going to be the dynamics of the system. I was about to say evaporative cooling, but dynamic cooling was going to be a big part of the storm if there's going to be a snow element to it here in the southeast, really anywhere. So it's definitely something that I'm going to talk about a lot. Now, here I want to just show you kind of the height and anomalies of this system. So you're going to have a big-time ridge building out west. You're going to have some kind of trough trying to dig right here. What happens here is this is going to merge with that trough. Here it is, right here. It's going to pull on it a little bit and pull it north. So you need that to happen, but first off, you need an amp storm. Second off, you need enough cold air. Normally, you don't get both. So is the trough going to push this system, suppress this system too far south where we don't get any moisture in just a cold couple of days? Or is this thing going to do what it did a couple runs prior? And I'm going to see if I can get this going here. Basically, a couple runs prior, I had this cutoff low a little bit further north. If it's further north, it's just going to dump a lot of rain, and some chilly rain. You need this thing digging, you need this trough to pick it up, and you have a coastal storm for somebody, and with maybe enough cold air for snow, even in areas further south. So something we have to watch, guys. It's definitely an interesting storm, and something we're going to be keeping tabs on the rest of the week, because this is going to do something next weekend. So stay tuned. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll have y'all another update in the morning.